Hey, this is Chuck Bryant on the Chuck Bryant Show. I'm so glad to be here with you today. And listen, if you're listening to us on WOTG, Chattanooga Gospel, or any of the other radio stations, due to the fact of the stream license issue that we have, we're now on Live 365. So you can look up your favorite WOTG radio stations on Live 365. I'll see you there. Remember, download the app on your Play Store with either Android or Apple. And then once you've downloaded Live 365, you can actually put it on your phone. And then once you've launched it, hit the heart, and that'll put it in your favorites. Again, thank you for listening to the WOTG Radio Network. And here on the Chuck Bryant and Friends today, we have got a very special guest. She comes all the way from a little bitty old state. Probably some of y'all have never even heard of Missouri. And she is one of our show hosts that is actually here on the radio station. And she's been with WOTG, the whole entire network, for the last, how long would you say, 3 or 4 years now? 5 years? 10 years?
Yeah, if you start with See the Vision, I think it's 4.
Is it 4? Wow.
I think.
There you go. So introduce yourself.
Well, hey, you're supposed to do that. You're the host.
Well, you know, I don't want to mess up.
I'm Nemra Rhoden. I'm married to Daryl Rhoden, and him and I we go around singing. Our name, Singing for the King, is our motto. And I do 2 radio shows on your stations, on your many stations.
Right.
And one's for kids called Sparks, and then one's for all ages, but mostly adults, I guess, called Exposing Candy-Coated Occult. Of course, that's controversial, but I try to keep it where they can handle listening to it without, freaking out.
Right.
Anyway, okay, what do you want me to keep going? Let's see. I'm a keyboardist, songwriter, speaker. We do praise and worship. We do children's ministry, producer, a psalmist. You go on, whatever.
Well,
mother. I have a dog.
Ruff, ruff. But anyway,
Yeah.
my dogs will be running in here. All right, Daddy, who's barking?
And I'm on the praise team singing and doing specials at Ozark Full Gospel Church in Ozark, Missouri. And I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. Moved to Toledo, Ohio, and then the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and then lived in Hawaii for a year. Worked in Las Vegas and sang in all kinds of places across a lot of the United States. And see, if I start thinking, I could take up your whole show just saying where I've been or what I've done. But then I lived in Texas for 20 years. That helped me mellow out, y'all. And then I've been here in Missouri for 20 years.
Wow. Keep going. We're going to find out what your age is, but we're not going to go there.
I know. Well, I don't think I gave it away pretty much, but...
But it's so great to have you here this morning. We got 5 songs that we're going to be playing. But do y'all travel to go to other churches in other states or anything?
We would regionally, but pretty much right now, my husband also has a job driving dump trucks, and I do marionette and puppet shows at daycares and some schools. So we're pretty much grounded here by our home during the week, but weekends we can go regionally. But when we're here, we are with our church, Ozark Full Gospel, and they're airing our specials on TV every Sunday during their service. So we're getting exposure that way, and then we're on a lot of compilations of our songs that go out around the world. So our songs are being played pretty much, and this all, of course, is the internet, except for the TV is Ozark 27 here in the Ozarks. Imagine that.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, it just I've known you for quite a few years now, and every time that we get together, it's always fun to be around you and Joni, and y'all just make. I remember when we were up in Branson here a couple of years ago, we had a blast, and I want to thank you for that trip because that was so fun. And
we were honored to have you and up there, my dryer, and you made it special for us too, and the Country Gospel Music Association,
yes,
which we're a part of also.
yeah,
Yes.
I am too, and we appreciate that. But it's so great. Everybody, let's welcome her by, oh my goodness. And the paparazzi is in the house.
Thank you very much, by the way.
As Elvis would say, thank you very much. But
well, you know, when I got to play, when I was in Hawaii, we got to do the warm-up act for Ike and Tina Turner. This was before I was saved, okay?
Right.
And because I lived there for a year. But our saxophone player was the saxophone player for Elvis Presley when he was in Hawaii. So that's pretty cool. Everybody's connected to somebody through somebody, you know.
Well, you notice I was watching a special that was on YouTube here a couple of weeks ago, and Elvis's band. They always call it Elvis's band. It was the Jordanaires, and they were his backup singers. And they were also a gospel group that went around the country singing gospel music, the Jordanaires. And I always get a kick at when you start listening to some of the groups that were around in the 70s, and they say, well, this was Elvis's backup singers, the Jordanaires. And I'm like, wow, how many people did they actually sing for?
Yeah.
But anyway, we've got some great songs here, and today is a little bit of a different mixture of music and with your praise and worship and stuff that we get. I know you've been into music for quite a few years. It's not just with the gospel stuff, and it was other stuff. And like you just said, you've played in Vegas, you've played in Hawaii, which I got to ask you a question. Is Hawaii as nice as they say it is?
You know, when I landed on the plane, it was depressing because it looked like any other city. But then you're driving through the streets to go to where you're going to stay, and there's so much evil things because a lot of sailors there, so they cater to the bad side of life for sailors, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And but then when you get to the other side, where the beaches are, it's kind of pretty. But if you got to go to the very back of the island, it be like you would dream of where you're kind of alone and you see the ocean, you know. I got to see the giant surfing waves that you see on TV, you know, that are just huge. You wonder why anybody would surf that high, you know.
Hawaii 5-0 waves.
So parts of it is, and parts of it is just like any other city. So,
wow.
And,
that's pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and play one of your songs, and then after we play it, we'll talk about it.
right.
Next up is I'm a Country Girl.
I'm just a country girl.
There you go.
Well, I'm just a country girl looking for a city where there's always light, sunshine on every face, such an amazing place, a city where I want to call home. I love sitting on the porch in the sunshine, picking berries growing on the vine, fiddles on Friday, church on Sunday, mom's apple pie, and the old time. Well, I'm just a country girl looking for a city where there's always light, sunshine on every face, such an amazing place, a city where I want to call home. You might think that this sounds strange, but you're wrong. I still love the things that I was raised on, like cotton hay bales on the farm. I still drive my antique car, Dad's old tractor and a homemade bread, cats in the barn and early to bed. I read about a city with streets of gold. I read about a city that never grows old. Read about a city with riches untold. Makes me want to shout, makes me want to celebrate. Someday my family will be home. Seems it won't be long together, singing round the throne. There'll be sunshine and supper time, city where the Lamb is the light. A city where the Lamb is the light.
Now, you thought this wasn't live, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I think you could probably be a pretty good country singer right there.
Yeah, when I was doing rock and roll for like 18 years, people come up to me and say, "You should be a country singer," because I don't have that twang,
Yeah.
but country in the world today has changed all the kind of sounds it is anyway, But
Well,
I want to say something right up front, if you don't mind,
go right ahead.
to the listeners. Even though I played in secular world out there for about 18 years, in 1983, God got a hold of me and changed my life forever. And since then, I'm just out there to sing for the Lord and everything I do in music for Him. Or like doing children's things, it's also uplifting songs. They're gospel, but also things with good principles, So we love Jesus Christ, and He guides everything we do since 1983. Before that, I have a large history of some terrible things, because when you're in rock and roll, it just happens.
Right.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
And that will stay in the past. Today we're at church, and we're going to make sure that we stay in church. I'm just kidding. That was a great song. I really and truly.
Well, somebody gave me the idea about looking for a city, and they said we need a twist on the end, and they wanted me to write it for them to consider. Well, they didn't consider it, so I go, well, I'm going to do it then.
Right.
and it gets pretty good reviews, and so and I wrote it specifically to have Jamie Hagee play fiddle in there, which you heard.
Right.
Because we like working with him. We've done several CD projects or album projects with him in Branson, Missouri.
Missouri.
The place you can find on the map, yeah.
Well, it's right in between here and there, and if you get really close to Missouri, it's right next door to Illinois, right next door to Kentucky, and you got to make a left and then another left to get into Missouri.
Arkansas, above Arkansas, next to Kansas.
There you go. We just keep going. So we're going to play, and the reason I couldn't read that song is because we won't go there. But anyway, Bigger Than the Devil. Tell me a little bit about this song.
Say what?
Tell me a little bit about this song.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have a friend who had Tourette's, and he didn't think he had any value in life. We're talking about in his 20s. And he's my neighbor, and he was here a lot. And so I said, well, what can you do? He says, well, I'll write. So he started writing poetry. He didn't know it was poetry because with his ailment, he didn't know where to put dots, periods, commas, or anything, or even to spell right. So when I just wrote what he had, correct the spelling, and put, punctuation marks, he had poems. And one of them was Bigger Than the Devil. Now, that we've heard that before forever. But when I read it on his poem, that inspired me to write the song you're going to hear. So
Okay.
God used him. And so I put his name as a co-writer to let him know he has value and worth, and what he does matter. Because God made all of us for a special reason with special talents.
All right. Well, here it is. Bigger Than the Devil. Here on the WOTG network. Network. There we go.
God is bigger than the devil, that's for sure. Bigger than darkness at our door. Bigger than any mountain, bigger than any trouble. And you know with God, the devil has to go. Greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. And greater is our God than anything. When that old devil comes calling, just tell him go back home, because our God is still on the throne. God is bigger than the devil, that's for sure. Bigger than darkness at our door. Bigger than any mountain, bigger than any trouble. And you know with God, the devil has to go about a mile, half a mile down the road, turn left and right another mile down the road, cross the creek and and a river, just get out of town. When God says go, the devil won't be found. One day that old devil will have to stop for good. Darkness will lose. When we read God's word, there's hope, there's victory, and what the Lord has said is true. God is bigger than the devil, that's for sure. Bigger than darkness at our door. Bigger than any mountain, bigger than any trouble, and you know with God, the devil has to go about a mile, half a mile down the road, turn left and right another mile down the road, cross the creek and a river, just get out of town. When God says go, the devil has to go about a mile, half a mile down the road, turn left and right another mile down the road, cross the creek and a river, just get out of town. When God says go, the devil won't be found.
That must have been you on the keyboard.
Yes, and most songs I'm on the keyboard, and most songs my son is playing drums.
Wow.
Mention
was-
that.
Really and truly, that was a good sound. And I like the part about when Daryl started talking about the devil, how that music intertwined with it, because I'm looking for something to pop out of the screen or something.
By the way, that song and I'm Just a Country Girl, if you go to Nemra Rhoden on YouTube, you can see the videos for those two. Well, one of them is us singing it live, but the Country Girl, there's a video.
You made videos too? Wow.
On the YouTube. Well, I have people help me. It's with slides, okay? You know, so I got to get it. We have a couple moving ones, but I'm just saying those two. You can see visual things with it, with those two songs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the next.
And, you know, when we do that song, if we're somewhere and people's heads are down, they're talking, whatever. When we come to go about a mile, half a mile down the road, everybody's heads pop up and they all start smiling and clapping. There's something about that. I have not understood that. That just makes people happy. So it's interesting. Thank you. Okay, you're funny.
Do you always, I say this on every show. Do you always bring your own cheering crowd and the paparazzi's here too? I tell you what, I don't know.
I used to think be famous if you had a wireless mic, but that's not true because a lot of people have it now. Then I thought once you have your own roadies, but got to have it anyway. Oh, I stepped on an electric thing. So that is true. So now I think you made it when you have a bobblehead made out, your image.
Do you got one?
No.
Oh.
I just think that would be funny, though, to have your own bobblehead on the dash of your car,
I hear you. Walking in Sunshine. Tell me about this one.
Okay, well, I have a heart for children. I went to Eastern Michigan University to be a kindergarten teacher, but in the last year, all I had to do is teach for a year, but actually I left college to be in a band, start my own band, which is funny because I've been a substitute teacher for years, so I'm still teaching. But so the thing about children, I just wanted to write songs for them, and I have a book. I'm working on a few more children's books, and the CGMA, I was honored to get their Platinum Award for Children's Ministry, and that's like the highest thing you can get for a subject. And I was just honored. So God keeps keeping me with the kids. Like I said, I do puppet and marionette shows. I'm like 30 marionettes. Those are like with 3.5 feet, 3 feet tall. They've chased me out of my house almost. But anyway, so this song is for children, and God, of course, inspires. The Holy Spirit inspires me with songs, and it just when you think of Jesus, I think of sunshine, and it's a cute little. There's not a lot of words to it, so that the kids can memorize it and repeat it, and that's about all I know. I just wanted a happy song, and this is what happened.
Amen.
Hey, and there's a video for that too on YouTube.
Remember, she's got a YouTube channel, so you got to go check it out. But also,
Thank you.
also, check out her program. Sparks is here on the WOTG network. It's on all of our channels. Branson, WOTG. It's in Texas. It's in Oklahoma. It's in Louisiana. It's on all of our stations. And the one thing I like about it is my granddaughter listens to it also. And so, just let you have it out there. And one thing is that I enjoy is when I was working third shift is that I used to listen to the show Candy Called It a Cult. And you've opened my eyes to a lot of things that I used to just take for granted.
Well, we all do. Just for instance, I was just in a place the other day with some Christians, and the person was talking, and he goes, "Knock on wood." And see, I just did a show about that.
Yeah, you did.
Superstition. It's real interesting the things you find out that we do as Christians, and just don't think, like you said, we just don't think about it,
No. But anyway, let's do this. Walking in the Sunshine.